The Detroit Pistons defense has fallen off and their best defender is hurt. So how can they improve this? Should they play Paul Reed some more? We'll talk about in today's episode, Locked On Pistons Podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Ku Cahill. I've been covering the Detroit Pistons for the last 4 years for the Locked On Network. Been a credentialed media member now for the last 3 years, and actually, I think we're coming up on 5 years next month, if I remember correctly. Appreciate all of you guys' support. Thank you all who make Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into an even bigger potential win with college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Later on, we will talk about where Cade Cunningham has to be better. Cade is great, franchise player. He's going to be on the All-NBA first team, I think, this year. He's been incredible. You guys know I love Cade. But Cade can be better, too, from what he's been over this last stretch. And some of the criticisms or some of the, lack of belief in the Detroit Pistons from those outside of Detroit and some of the national people has been that Detroit is just a bunch of tryhards, and this is coming back to bite them. And I want to talk about, is that true? Are the Pistons just a bunch of tryhards? We'll talk about that and what that even actually means coming up. I do want to let you guys know on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. So tomorrow when I'm recording it Monday. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we record the Locked On Pistons Squad Show with Lindsey Hunter. If you want to join the live show and ask him questions and have him answer them live, go over to the Locked On Pistons YouTube channel and be there at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's go ahead and get into the episode. So there's been a lot of talk. We spent a lot of time in the last podcast talking about how the Detroit Pistons defense has fallen off from where we saw it be throughout the entire year. The Pistons had been the best defense in the NBA since the end of November. It was the Thunder, if you look at the whole season, but that's really carried by their first month of the year. They were insane the first month. But since November, the Pistons had been the best defense in the league. They had been incredible on the defensive end, and there was a little bit of a gap. And that was what's carrying them to being this top team in the Eastern Conference, this top team in the NBA for a little bit. And that's what was carrying them there. It was their defense creating everything. And over the last 10 games, like we talked about in the last episode, that just simply has not been the case. The last 10 games go directly back to the very first game since All-Star break. So since the All-Star break, they've fallen off. We said the stats last episode. I'll say it again for you guys. Over the last 10 games, they have the 11th best net rating at 112.6. That is a pretty deep downfall for the Pistons, who were first in defense for a pretty long time. Even with their offense falling over, their offense had been slowly getting worse a little bit, falling out of the top 10. But the defense had maintained as one of 2 or 3 best defenses in the league, no matter what stretch you went through. And they fallen to 11th over the last 10 games. And we need to figure out how can they get that defense back? How can they stabilize it? Because we don't know how long Ausar Thompson is going to be out. Losing him obviously hurts a lot. Is there anything else that they can do to stabilize the defense, to try to get some of that back and kick it back into gear? There's 2 ways that they can do it, I think. We're going to talk about Paul Reed. That's going to be the majority of this segment. But the first thing I want to say that they could do is just be more consistent with their effort. Like, there's been stretches, like in the second half against Orlando, they were great defensively. In the first half against Brooklyn, they were great defensively. They've been able to be that team that we've seen in like stretches since the All-Star break, but it's been nowhere near consistent. The effort hasn't been nearly as consistent. Even that fourth quarter against the Cavs, they did a great job defensively, but a lot of that was just Ausar. I think he had 4 or 5 steals in that quarter alone. They've shown that they can still do it in stretches since the All-Star break. It just hasn't been consistent nearly enough. But let's get to the main part. It's Paul Reed. Can Paul Reed help get the Pistons defense back on track? And should JB Bickerstaff be looking for a way to get him into the rotation? And for a long part of this season, I had been saying that, yes, Paul is good enough to get minutes on just about any NBA team. Absolutely good enough, and he's very good for his role. He's very good. Now, I've said, despite that, it's just harder than you realize for a coach to be like, okay, we're going to play 3 centers. Like, I feel like there just hasn't actually been an opening for him that makes a lot of sense without really changing things up. So I understood why JB Bickerstaff had been choosing not to play him. It's just harder to do. I get it. However, with the lack of defense recently, and I think most importantly, the lack of defensive playmaking, it's something we've talked about a lot on this podcast, something I've really referenced a ton, is that the Pistons weren't just like a steady, competent defense or a really good defense because they were, they're just in the right spots all the time. They put a hand up and make you take tough shots. Like, it's not just that they're good team defense. They're good at that, but then they were also incredible defensive playmakers. You hear about offensive playmakers. The Pistons were defensive playmakers. They create plays with their defense for their offense, whether that be blocks, whether that be passing lane steals, whether it be deflections, whatever it is, they make plays on defense. And I think that there's a few things that they're missing with Ausar out. But one of the things I think you probably missed the most is the fact that he's one of the top guys in the league in deflections. He gets a lot of steals. He generates a lot of transition offense for the Pistons, which is why the Pistons offense has fallen off a little bit since he's been out. Who's another player on the team that does a great job of creating deflections, who creates havoc defensively, who makes plays, not just, in the right spot, contests at the rim, gets a defensive rebound and lets them get back on offense. Who creates havoc? Who creates plays defensively? Ron Holland does, and he's definitely someone that they'll rely upon. But who else does it? Maybe even better than Ron, to be honest. It's Paul Reed. Paul Reed, anytime he plays, he stuffs the box score, he stuffs the stat sheet with blocks, with steals, because he has some, when he comes out, we've talked about a lot, he has random blitzes in the pick and roll that he does, and teams never see it coming, and he forces steals. He has very quick hands, so in the pick and roll, even when he's in the drop coverage, if they try to slip a bounce pass around him, he's very, in the gap between him and his teammate, you guys know what I'm talking about, on the roll, quick hands, he's able to knock it loose, get steals a lot, he's able to play with his hands on drives against smaller and taller or bigger guys as well. He's able to make plays at the rim. Incredible blocks. Go back to the New York Knicks game, how he played against Karl-Anthony Towns, how he was able to block him numerous times at the rim and force or create transition opportunities for the Detroit Pistons. He's very active on the offensive end of the floor. He actually can shoot a little bit as well. He's a very good finisher around the basket. He's athletic. We all know Paul Reed is, honestly, he's pretty good. He's just good. He's a really good basketball player. He's just stuck behind Stu and Duren. But I really think that I have changed my thinking around this of, they have three centers. You can't expect a coach to try to force three centers. It's too hard to do in a rotation, especially when you're trying to play all these other guys. I understood it. I've changed that now. The Pistons need defensive playmaking. They need a guy who can come in and cause havoc and can help stabilize their defense, especially when one or even both, to be honest, of their other big men are struggling defensively. Duren, I thought, is in the middle of his worst defensive stretch of the season by far, I feel like. And even Stu, since coming back from his injury, I don't think has been nearly as good defensively. This last game against why am I already forgetting who they just lost to? That was a really bad, Miami. That last game against Miami, I thought he was one of the worst games I've seen Stu play defensively. So, and we expect them to be better, but especially when you're missing Ausar and your two big men are not having their best moments defensively, not playing Paul Reed, I think, is a bit of a mistake. I do want to make it clear, though, I'm not blaming JB for this stretch. This falls on the players. The players are not playing well. The players are not giving full effort. They are the most consistent, I would say, effort defensively. I don't want to say full effort. They are trying, but not consistent enough effort defensively. I'm not blaming JB, but an adjustment I think he can make that will help stabilize the defense is to now insert Paul Reed in the rotation to where he's legit playing 15-plus minutes off the bench. The bench has not been good for the Pistons as of late. Karras is struggling. He's been struggling all year, really. Danis is really struggling. Javante's been very inconsistent over the last 10 to 15 games. Kevin Huerter has been, I think, overall probably a slight positive, but the lack of shooting makes it hard to really appreciate all the other stuff he's able to do that we've seen him do. The bench has been struggling. Paul Reed's a guy who can get it going. He only played 5.5 minutes in the fourth quarter against Miami. He had 10 points, 5 rebounds, assists, a block, and 2 steals and a block. Now, I understand people are going to say, that's garbage time. Well, let's see what he does when he's not playing in garbage time. Well, it's not like we haven't seen what he's done in non-garbage time. And games where Stu or Duren were missed due to suspension for those 6 games he was able to play consistently in the rotation, this is the stat line that Paul Reed's able to do or put together. And it's not, I don't even, he put some high scoring outputs in these games, like 12, 22, 18, 15, 10. Like, he's consistent. He's able to get plays or make plays at the rim offensively as well. But what matters here, again, are these impact playmaking plays that he makes on the defensive end of the floor. Against New York, a block and a steal. Against Charlotte, 2 blocks, 2 steals. Against Toronto, 4 blocks, 3 steals. Against New York again, 3 blocks, 1 steal. Against Chicago, a block and a steal. Against the Spurs, 2 blocks, 1 steal. Against OKC, 4 steals. If he's playing at all in a game, he is going to make something happen defensively that creates a transition or a fast break opportunity. Even in games where he barely plays. He played 8 minutes against San Antonio, was able to get a steal. He played 10 minutes against Orlando, was able to get a block. He played 11 minutes against Cleveland, was able to get a block. Like, as long as he's touching the floor, he's doing something defensively. He's going to create havoc for you defensively. And the Pistons, I don't think they need to be trying to try to go full offense while they're dealing with this injury with Ausar to try to balance out. We'll just go spacing. Defense is going to be tough. I don't think that's what they should do at all. Their defense is what got them here. It's going to be what gets them through whatever they do the rest of the season and in the playoffs. They need to stabilize their defense. It's their only way to turn it around while they're dealing with some injuries. And I think Paul Reed very much could do so. And to wrap it up, I've been going long with segments lately. I apologize for that, everybody. But I have to wrap it up with this here. How do you make it happen with him in the rotation? Obviously, I spent a lot of time talking about how good Paul is, but how do you make it happen with the rotation? I think what you do here, you have 2 options, I think. You could move Stu into the starting lineup, bench Tobias, and then play Stu, split some of his minutes at the 4, and then let Paul Reed get a lot of minutes at the backup 5. I think that one's incredibly unlikely. I highly doubt JB would ever consider benching Tobias no matter what. So I don't think that one's likely, even though I think that one is the most cleanest way to handle your rotation. It's easy to do it. Give Stu minutes at the 4, start him there, and then you just it's cleaner to do it. It doesn't require a bunch of clever rotation stuff. Outside of that, I think what is the more likely option that they can do, I think you bench Karras, and I think you probably take some of these minutes away from Javonte a little bit maybe. And you play Paul with Stu off the bench, either as a 5 or 4. Both of them can play either one. Just play him with Stu off the bench. Maybe even play him some minutes as well, staggering with Duren as well. And he just takes up the minutes from Karras and or Javonte Green, and you play big for a lot of the minutes that Tobias isn't on the floor. You're not going with another wing type-ish player. You're going with another big. You're going to be playing double bigs a lot of those minutes that Tobias isn't on the floor. And I think Paul Reed has played well enough, and he brings what the team needs so much right now that I think it ends up benefiting them because it helps them get out and transition and fast break. So that's how I think they can do it. I think they should very much consider it. And Paul Reed's is good. I mean, he deserves to play. He's played too good for me to sit here and continue to say it's hard to give him minutes. You want to play your best players, and I think Paul Reed has proven to legit maybe be one of their best 8, at the very least 9 best players. Let me know, comment section down below or over on Twitter at KookaHill. Do you guys agree that they should play Paul Reed? And if you do, how do you think they should fit the rotation to get him some minutes? Let me know, comment section down below or over on Twitter at KookaHill. Coming up, I want to talk about where Cade Cunningham must be better for this team. He's great. I love Cade. You guys know this. But there's areas he needs to be better as well. We'll talk about and break it down coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part, hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with the fans. Pulled up the Game Time app a few days ago, to be honest. I was looking at going to a Pistons game with some of my friends. I picked it up, got great seats. It was last minute. It was the day of the game. You guys know that I'm a procrastinator, but I was able to find great seats. I got to see the view from the seat, so I know what seat I was getting within the Game Time app. I got a great price up front, no additional fees at the checkout. That surprises me. Get price up front and a great last-minute deal, even though I was cutting it pretty close to the start of the game. And that's my favorite part about Game Time, is that even if I'm waiting to the last second, I can still get a great deal and some great seats with Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Make sure you guys are checking out the Locked On Pistons YouTube channel at 1:30 on Tuesday and Thursday if you want to ask Lindsey Hunter live questions while we record our Locked On Pistons squad show. And also, if you are interested in the Everydayer Club, where you will get ad-free listens to Locked On Pistons, you will also be able to join the Locked On Pistons Discord server. You can check out the link down below in the description to join the Everydayer Club. All right, let's talk about Cade Cunningham, who I want to make it very clear before we talk about this, because there's some, it's few, but I want to make sure I'm covering all my bases here. I am one of Cade's biggest fans. I have stuck by him for years. I mean, I think most people who have listened to this podcast for a long time know that I've been one of the biggest Cade believers, fans, whatever you want to call it. I am a huge fan of Cade's game. I think he's tremendous. I think he's going to be an all-NBA first team guy. I say all that to say that because a lot of times when you level out any kind of criticism or start talking about how a player needs to be better, there's some people that like to immediately say, okay, well, you're just a hater. Why do you not like Cade? Or why do you not like X player or this player or whatever? I want to just make sure everyone understands I am very much pro Cade. I have been one of his biggest believers since draft day. I think he's been tremendous this year. Absolutely amazing. However, with that said, even players like Cade can be criticized. And even players like Cade need to be better at times. And I think he needs to be better as of late. Over the last 5 games, he's averaging 23.2 points a game on 51 true shooting, shooting 44% on twos. He's only getting to the free throw line 3.5 times. Over the last 10 games, he's at 54 true shooting and 25 points a game. He's shooting 45% on twos and only getting to the free throw line still 3.5 times a game. Over the last 20 games, 55 true shooting, 55.7, 24.5 points. He's shooting 50% on twos and 78% from the free throw line on 5 attempts. So the reason why I went back 5, 10, 20 is that you'll see that the farther you go back, things start to go up. And the more you start to pull from the recent history, the numbers start to fall down. Cade, I don't feel like has been playing his best basketball over the last 10 games. And there's one particular area in which is really standing out that I think it's going to be a tricky thing for him. I think it's something he's going to consistently battle with throughout his career. I know it's something that he, the coaching staff, everyone has paid attention to and have tried to, and they've made progress here, 100%. They've made a lot of progress, but I think it's something that, because of the way Cade likes to play, it's something I feel like he's always going to be in this like tug and pull situation where there's times where maybe he's going to drift over it and he's going to have to come back and then drift over and then come back. I think it's something he's always going to have to deal with throughout his career just because of the way he plays. And it's his shot selection inside the three-point line. I guess we're starting a trend here recently on the podcast of start with something positive and then negative. So I'll start with something positive. He is taking more threes the last 10 games. He's taking 7.3 threes a game. He's shooting 42.5% on these. He's hitting a lot of pull-up threes. You guys know that's something I've been begging for him to put a lot more into his shot diet. Take a lot more pull-up threes. When you're shooting as well as he is on pull-up threes, you need to get more of them up. It forces the defense to guard you a different way. It opens up your half-court offense. It makes some of the looks that you want to get to inside the three-point arc a lot more easier for you to get to. You need to take up a lot, and it results in you being a lot more efficient, which is big for the Pistons. So I like that he's taking more threes, but I honestly, if he's going to shoot this well on them, he should take more. And the main reason why I say that is because his shot selection within the three-point arc has been very questionable over the last 10 games. I will, for the most part, put to the side the Spurs games because Wemby is Wemby, and he does this to a lot, like almost everybody. Tough to deal with Wemby. Though I don't want to completely disregard it against Wemby, because at the end of the day, this is his competition. This is who we're going to be seeing the Pistons go against. If we eventually want to see the Pistons win the championship, it is possible that they would maybe at one time in the next 5 to 7 years, maybe meet Wemby in the playoffs, or in the finals. I'm going to disregard it somewhat because I know Wemby is an alien, But I don't want to completely dismiss it because at the end of the day, these are players he's going to have to succeed against. Doesn't mean he has to be perfect immediately. He's still young. He still has, not saying he has to be perfect, but you guys get what I'm saying. So we're moving to not me paying attention with those games. Cade, the biggest struggle he's going to have, or he's had, is being efficient. And the team needs him to be efficient. That is where he levels himself up to being face of the NBA type player. That's where he gets into the SGA, the Jokic conversations, when he becomes more efficient of a player. He has struggled with efficiency throughout his career. He's at 56.1 true shooting on the season. That's slightly below league average this year. If he can become a more efficient basketball player, he will become one of those type of guys. He's already great, but if he wants to reach that next level, he has to become more efficient. It starts with improving his 2-point percentage and taking better shots. He struggles to finish at the rim at times, which we know that. We know that he blows some bunnies a little more than we'd like to see. We know that the spacing also has a little bit to do with that because it creates a lot of tough looks around the rim. I'm not throwing that out the window. I'm aware of that as well. But he also blows a bit of bunnies at the rim that you would not like to see him blow as much. I'm more concerned with the amount of mid-range shots he's taking. And the reason why I'm more focused on that is when Cade's solution to some of these defenses is relying on step-back middies, it's an incredibly tough diet to survive on. It's not that you don't want people taking middies. It's not that mid-range is the devil. That's not what it is. Cade is good enough at mid-range jump shots, pull-up jump shots, that you want him to take pull-up jump shots when they're there in the mid-range. If they want to play drop coverage and he snakes to the high post and it's a pull-up jumper, take it not saying Cade should not take mid-range jumpers. But what Cade falls into trouble with, which he has, I think, a lot the last 10 games, which is why his 2-point percentage is really an unacceptable 45%. Like, shooting that bad on 2-pointers is pretty awful. Let's just be real. It's pretty bad to shoot that bad on 2-pointers for any type of stretch like that, on any kind of decent sample size. It's not the mid-rangers that I'm talking about where he snakes a pick and roll, gets to the high post area, gets to his spot, and they're playing drop. He gets a clean look. It's the ones when he's dealing with physicality and defenders wall off his initial drive. His next too often, he's improved at this a little bit where he tries to get to the rim still and bully through, use his size. And he's gotten more efficient because of that. He's much more efficient than he was a few years ago. But a lot of times still, you'll see him start to settle for just step-back middies over tough contests. And can he hit that shot? He can hit it. Is it something that you want him going to repeatedly? No. It's something he can hit at the end of a shot clock if it's tough. The offense has been going. He's a tough shot maker. He's able to hit that every now and then. That's the great thing about Cade. But having that be like a main part of your shot diet is going to result in very inefficient play. And that is why Cade hasn't been able to become such an efficient player. He's shooting so well on pull-up threes this year. Now, if he was shooting much better from the beginning of the year on catch-and-shoot threes, he would be probably hovering around like 37, 38% from three, somewhere around there. And that would then in and of itself improve his efficiency. The finishing at the rim has to improve. We're going to continue to talk about that I've talked about that for years with him. It's gotten slightly better each year. The finishing at the rim has to improve. But the main thing is he has to be better with his shot selection inside the three-point line. If he can improve that and turn some of these long middies, he's done this a good job. I want to make it clear, he's done a good job of it from where he was. I'm not saying at all that he hasn't already tried to work on this. He's answered a question from me after a game talking about how he's working on this. He's working on this mental part. I believe it was last year, and we saw it start to change. But like I said, because Cade is a player who is able to hit these mid-range shots, because he's a player who feels comfortable taking these shots and feels like he can hit them for good reason, because he can. When things get tough, there are times in which he ends up falling back on it too much, and that's how you end up with games where he shoots 10 of 26 from the field. That's how you end up with games where he shoots 4 of 16 from the field. That's how you end up with games when he shoots 5 of 26 from the field. Like this last game against the Spurs, he shot 4 of 7 from 3. They were giving him the pull-up 3. He was taking it. He made 4 of them, was incredibly efficient on it, but he was 6 of 19 on 2s. Bad shot selection for a lot of them. I know Wemby had a lot to do with the shots at the rim, but also he was settling for a lot of tough contested pull-ups over Stephon Castle. You even go to the Miami game. He hit 6 of 9 threes against Miami. It ended up being a really efficient game, despite the fact that he shot 3 of 9 from twos, because he relied heavy volume on his 3 shot that was going. That's what I'd love to see him do. But again, even against the Miami Heat, he took a lot of middies in that game and not a lot of them were open. Against Cleveland, he was 4 of 13 on twos. A lot of his struggles, a lot of the games where he just has terrible efficiency is because he relies on a very tough shot diet when things start to get tough at times. And I think the team can do a better job of trying to scheme up easier looks for him. Like, I don't think we've really seen a Cade post up like designed to get him closer to the rim and let him just operate, get to his hook shot in a pretty long time. So I think that could open things up for him a little bit as well. Try to get him, because he's great in that little short mid-range area when he can get to a floater or his hook shot that he's really good with. So they could try to scheme him up a little better and in nights like that when he's struggling to get him cleaner looks. But that is the next step for Cade's game. He has to be more efficient. He just has to be. That's what the superstars at the top of the game, that's their calling card. That's what they all do. Efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. And that's what translates to winning. That's what translates to winning championship. You don't see inefficient players win championships. You don't see inefficient teams win championships. And that's why Cade, is still trying to get to that upper spot when it comes to efficiency. So I think that I think that's just the main thing I'd like to see him improve upon moving on. It's going to be something he deals with the rest of his career. Like I said, he's really good at it. So he wants to rely on it a lot. And I understand that. But settling for tough shots, it just puts you in a bad position. It puts him in a bad position too often. Lastly, I'll end it with this. Cade, his season-long true shooting percentage is always, so much of it is tanked because Cade's floor as a scorer is much lower than all the other superstars, I'd say. Cade can hit some heights. He has a high ceiling with his scoring outputs and how efficient he can be. He has a high ceiling. He can score and go crazy. We saw it in the Knicks game. But like these other guys, they have like a floor of how bad they can really get. Cade's floor is much lower because of what I was just mentioning. Like, he has games where he will just shoot 5 of 26. He'll have a game when he shoots 10 of 27. He'll have a game where he shoots 7 of 26. Like, he has games like those because he settles for a lot of tough shots at times. So I think that's the main thing he has to improve upon. You've seen it a lot recently. Let me know, comment section down below or over on Twitter at @KukaHill. How you guys feel about this? You guys agree, disagree, all of that jazz. Coming up, aren't the Detroit Pistons just a bunch of tryhards? That's a very common phrase you're hearing from a lot of people outside of Detroit, that they're just a bunch of tryhards. You can't take them serious. Is there any truth to that? I want to talk about it coming up. It's tax time, but for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. Just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out, knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment again at turbotax.com/local. Now I've got to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors. This one is FanDuel. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into an even bigger potential win with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your read. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Look at odds around your team if they are in season. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started today. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free to available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Over this stretch that the Detroit Pistons have struggled and not looked like themselves, one of the most common sentiments I'm seeing from people who were just skeptical of the Pistons from the get-go, to be honest. There was a lot of people that have been skeptical of them all year, despite what their record is, despite how they, whatever it is. Despite them having the 1 seed for the majority of the year, despite the long win streak they won, whatever it is, there's been a lot of people that have just been skeptical about Detroit. And it's because of their offense, because they don't have the most talented offensive team. And now that they're struggling, a common sentiment I'm seeing is, well, yeah, you can't just try hard your way all the way through the finish line. Like, they're just try hard. They play harder than people. They take it too serious, and they'll win games because of that. I want to talk about whether there's some truth to that statement. I think that there is some truth to it, but I think it's also not completely true, and I think it's disrespectful. It's a disrespectful way to describe this Pistons team. I think it's a backhanded way of saying we don't think you guys are very good. I think that's basically what it means. We don't think you're actually a good team. You guys are just trying harder than everyone else. We're not actually trying. If we were to try, we'd kill you guys. Like that's how it reads to me. But I do think that there is some truth to the idea that the Pistons are tryhards. Like, their way of succeeding is winning all the hustle stats. They out-rebound you. They turn you over. They like to run. They're going to pressure you nonstop. They're going to be physical. Like, all of that stuff is true. That is what they rely upon. That is their identity. Their identity is a physical defensive team, and some may describe that as being a try-hard team. So is that true? Yeah, that part is true. I don't deny that. I don't think it should necessarily be viewed as this negative that some people try to paint it out to be. But sure, is part of their identity being tryhards? 100%. They do give full effort. I don't really understand why that's viewed as like they give effort every night. Who does that? Like, I thought we were, playing basketball. I thought, this was when I go play basketball, every time I play pickup, I'm not out there throwing. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too competitive. I play video games. Any game I play, it doesn't matter if it's Uno, chess, Arc Raiders. It doesn't matter what, Madden. I want to win everything I'm playing. So I'm trying. I don't just go out and start throwing, but I must be confused. Maybe some people go out there and just throw. Maybe they just throw games. We have a bunch of Zazas out there. My Marvel Rivals players, you guys will get that reference. Shout out Captain America. Anyways, I don't view it as that big of a negative. And the reason why I disagree with it being like their entire personality is, and what you really should just paint the team as in general as like this backhanded compliment of like, oh yeah, that's just the try-hard team, is that I think a lot of people, especially nationally, and I think there's a lot of of the casual base that believes this, that I just completely disagree with, in that defense is just a hustle thing. Defense is just a try-hard thing. You're good on defense by just try-harding. That's the furthest thing from the truth. I've grown up playing basketball my entire life. I played through high school. I did not end up playing in college, though I went to Wayne State and practiced with the team a little bit freshman year. I was going to try out, but then college became too expensive. I just dropped out completely. Fact of the matter, the reason why I bring all that up, I've played my whole life. I love basketball. I'm pretty good at it. I've talked about basketball for a long time. I analyze the game, I think, pretty well. One of the most annoying out of all the cliches, out of all the common phrases that you hear around basketball, from whether it be coaches, ex-coaches, older people, like whatever it is, the most annoying one I hated when I was younger, I hate now, but I really started to hate when I was younger, was when defense is all effort. If you just try on defense, you'll be a good defender. That is the biggest load of BS ever. Could you trying make you at least like a decent team defender? Like, will you at least be someone who's giving, like, yes, there's positive to just at least giving effort, but effort does not just make you a good defender. Defense isn't just about good defense or about giving full effort. Defense is a talent. Being good on defense is a talent. That is part of what makes someone a talented basketball player. Talented basketball players are not just guys who are able to tween, hezzy, pull up. That is not what talent is. That's not the only thing that you should look at when it comes to talent. And I think something that backs this up, honestly, look at what Kenny Atkinson said a few days ago about Derek White. Now, I don't believe his statement to that strong of a degree. I mean, he was calling Derek White almost a top 5 basketball player. I think that's pretty strong. But like his overall sentiment, listen to what he said. And that is the prime example of, I think, a lot of people misconstruing what talent is. Talent is not just hezzy tween pull-up. It's not just what's in your bag. That is not what talent is, especially in the year of 2026. Teams are smarter, guys are better. Talent is everything that goes into the game of basketball. Processing, decision-making. That is a talent. Making the right reads consistently, knowing where to be. Being able to shuffle your feet laterally quicker than your opponent. Being able to rotate at the right time and read the play faster than they can. Being able to challenge shots at the rim, utilize timing. Timing your rim protection reps. Timing your passing lane steals. All of this stuff is part of talent. Guys can't just try hard their way to a good defense. That's not how it works. The reason why I went on this long rant is that people say they describe the Pistons as tryhards as a way to say they're not talented, where I completely disagree. This is a talented Pistons team. They're just not talented in the way people think they are. They are a talented defensive team. At least they have been throughout the year. Last 10 games, not so much. But that's a smaller sample size. We have 40 some odd games to go off of. Their ability to throw as many guys at you defensively that all are impact defenders, for the most part, again, removing the last 10 games, there are all impact defenders that all are processing the game as fast as they are defensively. They're all able to keep their man in front of you as often as they do. The ability to read the defense, read the offense, see a play a play in ahead, be in the right spots. That all that stuff is not just something everyone can do from just trying hard. People are just, most of the time, just born with that ability to play defense better than anyone else. Athleticism, your length, your wingspan, all plays a part of it. But that is a talent. Ausar isn't a great defender just because you try hard. Like, he's one of the more talented defenders we've seen. Javonte Green isn't just a good defender because he try hard. He is a try hard, but he's also a talented defender. He's a smart defender. He's a high processing defender. Same thing with Stu. Same thing with Cade. Like, go through the Paul Reed, all these guys, quick hands. That's a talent. Being able to play 2-on-1 in the pick and roll, being able to keep the defender in front of you, then also know when exactly to back up, to take away the lob, but know exactly what angle to be at, to take away the layup. Like, that's all a talent. And the Pistons have multiple guys who are very talented at this. So that's why I take the most disrespect to just saying the Pistons are tryhards. Because it insinuates that defense is something that you can just try hard at and you'll be a good defender. That's not the case. And I've hated that my whole life around basketball. That is not true. I have played with a lot of really good players. I've played with a few D1 guys. I've played with quite a few D2 guys. I've even played, I've played against Romeo Weems and a few other guys who went through the G League, had a chance in the NBA, and didn't play. Them simply just trying hard would not have made them all good defenders. I know some guys who are really talented that I don't think they just didn't try defensively. I think they just suck. They just suck on defense. They're not fast. They're not able to move laterally. They watch the ball. Their technique is terrible. They don't know where to be. Like, being a tryhard does not make you good at defense. It's a very, very annoying thing for me. It's one of the things I hate the most. So are the Detroit Pistons tryhards? Yes. They are also talented. Also, like, they don't just lack all offensive talent. They have Ausar was a top 5 pick. Okay, like, they have high pedigree guys. Jalen Duren was a lottery pick. Cade was a first overall pick. It's not like these are a bunch of they only have second round and undrafted guys out here. Ron Holland was a lottery pick. Like, their main guys are high pedigree players. So that was my quick rant. Yes, the Pistons are tryhards. They're also talented, just not in the way people are accustomed to, and most people just don't like defense, so they just chuck it up to, oh, you just play harder than us. No, not really. We're just more talented than you defensively. There's my rant. I went on much longer than I thought I would. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And until next time, actually, Before we wrap up the podcast, great example just popped in my head. Luka Garza. We saw him with the Pistons. Luka played as hard as he possibly could. He just was not going to be a good defender because he's not a good defender. It's not because he doesn't try. It's not because he doesn't give effort. Marvin Bagley, another one, played hard. It wasn't because he didn't play hard or lacked effort. He just wasn't. They're just not good defenders. They're not talented on defense. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Hit that subscribe button. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Defense is a skill. I'll catch you guys later.